Hello, nerds. Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your Week in Nerdom Music Edition for the week of April 2nd, 2018. This week in music, we've got a bunch of new music. We're continuing the Jack White Metallica thing we started last week, and a band that I was a fan of back in the day that I thought broke up is putting out a new record. So let's hit the intro real quick.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander of War, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
Before we jump into the news, let's jump into the sponsor real quick. This week's music episode has been sponsored by the Your Mom Thinks I'm Advertiser Friendly shirt. It's the shirt that says, I don't do this for the money, guys. I do this for your mom. You can get yours over on the Teespring store. Teespring.com/stores/generally nerdy is the only place to get the Your Mom Thinks I'm Advertiser Friendly shirt. So jump over there. You can find the link to it on the website, generallynerdy.net, or just go straight to www.teespring.com/stores/generally nerdy. Now let's kick into the news. This week in music news, we're starting with is Kittie. Kittie's still a thing, apparently. They just put out a new documentary DVD that is celebrating 20 years as a band. Really, it's just celebrating 20 years that the Morgan sisters have been treating people like crap. This is relevant in that this is because it's a bunch of girls in a band, right? Back when they were relevant, when they, had something to contribute to the conversation, it wasn't an entirely girl band. They did have a male lead guitar player that wasn't Morgan. This band is proof that opportunity of outcome does not make everything equal. If this band was a bunch of guys making the exact same music, they would have made maybe one record and then fallen completely off into obscurity. But we're still talking about them because they're girls and they're powerful. And no. Kittie hasn't done anything good, really ever. If you go back and listen through their entire library, they have maybe a handful of songs in the span of 10 records, roughly, that are listenable. The rest of it sounds like a 13-year-old boy screaming at his mom. And maybe that's what they were going for, but that's just not my thing. So, I don't know. New documentary. If you want to do your own riff tracks, then I'd check out the documentary. But again, I don't think they're relevant. Like, I saw this news bit in a couple of different outlets that I get my updates from, and it just doesn't make sense. Why are we still talking about Kittie? Like, yeah, sure, maybe they put out a record in the last 2 years, but did anyone listen to it? I really don't think so. Anyway, we're giving too much time to this. We're kicking on down the road. Next up is a new song from a band that we talked about a little over a month ago when Dolores O'Riordan died, from the Cranberries. There was a band called Bad Wolves that did a cover of the Zombie song from the Cranberries' Heyday. That was okay. It felt lacking to me, if you remember. We were talking about that. But it didn't feel like I didn't see them as a solid band based solely on that cover. Well, they just put out another song off of their new record, Disobey. It's called Better the Devil, and this song is pretty good. This is a legit updated kind of metalcore kind of sound. There's a little bit of new metal element to it as well, but I don't know. I feel like this is the song they should have led with and let the Cranberries thing. But maybe they capitalized just perfectly because that was right as Dolores passed away. So when better to release a cover? So maybe they played it right. I just feel like this is 10 times the song that their Cranberries cover ever was. They are the album Disobey will be out May 18th. They are on tour currently with Five Finger Death Punch, whose guitar player Zoltan Bathory is their manager. And Shinedown is also on the bill. So it's really weird because I bet these guys are opening the show. So it's like, what's it like to open for two bands that you are better than? Because this is honestly better than anything Shinedown ever put out, and really better than anything Five Finger Death Punch has done since their first record. And even their first record was super predictable radio metal. So this is not that. Bad Wolves is their dynamic approach is very unique. Their song structure is very unique. I really, really dug it. You can see the video if you follow the link in the description. You can listen to the song and then you can come back and tell me how wrong I am or how much you agree with me. One way or the other, let's have a conversation about that. But we are kicking on to the next bit. Next up is another new song from another band that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Light the Torch, the new band that Howard Jones is in. It's not really new. It's just not Killswitch, and it's not The Devil You Know, because they had to change the name, and we went over all that last time we talked about it. But they just put out a new song as well called Safety of Disbelief. Their new album, Revival, is out now, so you can go check out the whole album. I'm just going to link to the song, Safety of Disbelief, is the new one that they just put out. It's their new single. I don't know if I touched on this last time we talked about it, but we're touching on it right now. Howard has taken all of the subtlety away from his songwriting. It's no longer, maybe this song's about Jesus. And now it's, he really writes a lot about Jesus, doesn't he? There's definitely moments in this song that are promising, but as a whole, it's metal by numbers, man. It's not even metalcore. It's some sort of weird bastard offspring of metalcore. Like, there's the moments where Howard shines, and there's the moments where he's got his beautiful scream out, and even the juxtaposition of his melodic voice and his harsh screaming voice is just as amazing as ever, but it's underused, and that I feel like is a disservice to their sound. I really dug the first song, Die Alone. That had more of those metalcore kind of elements. That had more of Howard shining. I know that they are consciously going more melodic. I heard an interview with Howard not too long ago where he was talking about the new sound and the new direction, and how at first it wasn't a conscious decision to go lighter and more melodic, but now they're embracing that direction. So I just might not be a fan of Light the Torch. As much as I love Howard's vocals, Light the Torch is just not doing it for me. And sorry. Maybe you have something else to say about Howard's vocals. Maybe to you, Howard's vocals save everything. I mean, I feel like potentially he has that power, just not in this song. But let's talk about it in the comments. And then we're going to kick on next to another new song from another act that we've talked about in the recent past. This one's a little further back. This is from Jonathan Davis. The name of the song is Everyone. His new solo record is called Black Labyrinth. It will be out May 25th. Link to this song is in the description, though I'm going to warn you right now, you don't want to listen to this crap. Jonathan Davis, at one point, was almost the voice of a generation, the voice of a very large group of people. Let's put it that way. Now he's just a crybaby. Like, he's always kind of been a crybaby. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna deny that even the early Korn stuff is kind of Jonathan crying into a microphone. It's just he did it with more style and finesse back then, and now he's just doing it because he doesn't know what else to do. He never grew as an artist, and when you don't grow, you stagnate, and when you stagnate, you become worse and not better. And Jonathan Davis is definitely stagnated, as it's become stagnant. That's probably a better way to put that. Has become stagnant as an artist, and it's just painful to watch. It's not even sad anymore. It just hurts. So again, his new record, If You Are Really That Masochistic, is out May 25th. I really feel like even hardcore Korn fans are not gonna dig this record. But I'm just a cynic, I guess. And we're kicking on next to new music. This will be our last bit of new music, and then we're gonna move over to Jack White. But new music from a band that I honestly thought broke up a few years ago. Bleeding Through is putting out a new record, also out on May 25th. This is on Sharp Tone Records. I feel like they've changed record labels after they went on their weird hiatus thing that I thought was a breakup. And now they're back. Brandon Chiappetti, I can never say his freaking last name right, but he's got a great voice. Posted like 10 seconds of a new song, and the on his Instagram is where he posted it, and the description for the post was Revenge I Still Seek. So perhaps this is the name of the track. Revenge I Seek was one of their first hits. It was one of their first singles. One of the songs that, if you know Bleeding Through, that's one of the songs that you know. Starts off with a sample from the movie Boondock Saints. They did that on their first two records pretty heavily, but it sounds so. Bleeding Through started in the hardcore / metalcore scene, and progressively became more and more black / death metal, and this record is further along that progression, a little more on the black side because of the symphonic element that they add with their keyboards, but very well executed. This is going, again, strictly off of those 10-15 seconds from the song. Every record they've put out has become progressively more heavy, but they are also getting into that territory that I have talked about before with extreme kinds of metal, that they're borderline white noise. I feel like their roots in the hardcore scene and their metalcore roots, those kind of save them because that lends itself more to dynamics. They plan more around the dynamics of the song, so you're not just going to be blast beats for 3.5 minutes. It's going to be blast beats for a second, and then a breakdown, and then we might have a spot where Brandon actually sings, and so that is, I think, their saving grace, and that's why I still love these guys. So if you are into some really heavy stuff, May 25th, new Bleeding Through, check it out. And then we're kicking on to the last bit of music news for the week, guys. This week, we're finishing the conversation with Jack White and Metallica, but specifically with Jack White because his record came out, so now we have SoundScan results, and his SoundScan results have him at number 1 on the Billboard chart. He sold 125,000 copies of his album, and 121,000 roughly of those were physical copies, which means his record sales that he's selling with the ticket sales is I'm dedicating to this, and I say this is an artificial inflation and should be. They need to refigure those metrics, because I would definitely put money on the fact that probably about a quarter of those sales are double sales. It's the same person is getting counted twice. We can't do that in politics. Why would we be able to do that when we're talking about the viability of an artist? And really, this kind of lends over in the eyes of lesser educated people who are less in the know. This makes an artist look more legitimate. This makes an artist look more I love Jack White. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to throw shade or whatever the kids are saying these days. I'm not trying to discredit his ability. What I am trying to do is shed light on the broken system that we refuse to abandon. this is artificial inflation. This is a false representation of the record industry as a whole, because bands are allowed to do this. Again, I love Jack White. I even kind of sort of like Metallica most of the time. So like I'm not trying to hold this against the bands. I'm holding this against the industry that is letting this happen. There's no way that I can believe that if you're counting ticket sales as album sales, that you actually sold, like there's that many people who are actually listening to your record. If you only counted actual album sales, the picture would be very different. And potentially Jack White would still be on the #1 slot, but his numbers would not be so high. So I don't know. I feel like this is disingenuous and is evidence of a dying industry that is still slowly dying. Anyway, that is where we're ending this week's music news, guys. What did I miss? What should we talk about next week? Let me know in the comments down low. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, generallynerdy.net. You can find all of the social media links up there. You can email me more directly. There's links up there. There's links to the stores so that you can go buy your generallynerdy.net t-shirt or any of the other many shirts that I have up in the 2 stores. I have a Teespring store and a Redbubble store, so definitely check them both out because there's unique pieces in each store. If you want to support more directly, though, there's also a Patreon page, patreon.com/generallynerdy. That's also linked from the website. Go check out the Patreon. You can jump on for just $1 a month. There are higher tiers if you feel so inclined, but you get cool stuff at each tier, so check it out. Generally Nerdy on Patreon, patreon.com/generallynerdy. Before you go over there, though, there is a subscribe button that you should be looking at. Definitely click that so you know when I post new videos, and ring that bell so that you are alerted immediately once the video goes up. If you like this episode, click that like button that's right next to the subscribe button. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you need to catch up, then click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. Right above that is the Adventures in Photography playlist. You can go check out the Adventures in Photography. There is still 2 of those episodes coming up, so let me know what you want to see down in the comments. But before you do any of that, before you click on any of those buttons, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.